Well, you say I came off as like confident and self-assured. Like that's all like a defense mechanism or a coping mechanism.
Right.
Of like, I need to show up with this kind of exuberance.
Yes.
Because that's what's getting me work and being praised and being accepted.
It's funny because it worked, man. I was like, I need that guy's charisma. Like, it's like a literal thing that I thought. It was
well, hey, I booked work doing it.
Yeah, for sure.
But I didn't enjoy myself, and I didn't. I didn't grow, and I actually was not able to do any kind of revelatory work. Because once you're in an ego, like the ego is all like superficial, right?
Yes.
It's all show, and so I think the best kind of acting is like vulnerable and revelatory. Like it's a revealing some aspect of yourself, which the ego's like, does not want to do. You were talking about, I saw a clip of you talking about that uncomfortable place.
Yes,
when you're reading a script and something makes you uncomfortable and how like, oh, that's where to go towards.
And you have to spend time there.
Yeah.
Like that's what the money's for.
Yeah.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to the DNA podcast. Today, we've got a gentleman by the name of David Reale on the show. David is a journeyman actor. David's a fascinating guy for a lot of reasons. One, he's been at this so long. Two, he's incredibly good. He acts, he also teaches, he does stage work, he does film and television work. He's been on series like The Boys, Suits, American Gods, right now you can see him on Murderbot on Apple TV. He's had a tremendous amount of success and he's worked really, really hard. And I've wanted to get David on the show for a long time. And one of the reasons is because David and I started at like the exact same time and we always knew each other tangentially. And so I had this perception of him. And I'm not gonna lie, in a lot of cases was kind of jealous of him because I saw him on stage, I saw his work and he seemed so free and I was so technical. So he kind of had so many of the things that I wished I had and have, worked really hard to kind of get. And through the course of this conversation, we have this like conversation between two guys who really respect each other and had completely different experiences with each other as we were growing up in this industry. And so it's fascinating to hear how his experience of me was so different from my experience of him and to learn about his journey and his experience and his insecurities, his strengths, his weaknesses, all of the things that he was struggling with through that period of time where I was just like incredibly jealous of him, admiring of him, all of these things, idolized him to a degree. Like I think putting him on a pedestal, like that's a guy who I kind of want to be like. And because jealousy implies, I think, a negativity, and there was never that. To be able to sit down and chat with him in this was so cool. David is so much good with all of the work that he does. I think he's incredibly entertaining. I think that he's an incredible teacher. So I'm really excited for you to dive into this one. I really am looking forward to you getting into this. Appreciate you very much. If you're here, then probably you're one of the vast majority of our audience, like 80% of our audience that isn't yet subscribed to the channel. So if you're on YouTube, click that subscribe button, click that like button. That really, really helps get the podcast out there, helps us keep going. If you're on Spotify, please rate us 5 stars. Anyway, I appreciate you being here. Have a lovely, lovely experience of this podcast. Let's get into it.
Oh my God.
David Reale.
It's happening.
This is the dream, man. Believe it or not, I started this podcast just to have another conversation with you finally in this life.
Do you think this will be the longest conversation we've ever had?
Yes, for sure.
Even though we've known each other for 20 years?
Yeah. I was gonna say, I was like, how am I gonna start this podcast? And I gotta start it by straight up being like, because you and I think we almost entered the industry at the exact same time here in Toronto.
Yeah.
And our paths have crossed in so many ways.
Yeah.
But I think like more than anybody that I didn't book, you ended up getting.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think it was like, more than anyone. And so for so many years, like I've always had a lot of admiration for you as an actor. Like
likewise.
You're a hell of an actor. And just like a really, really great guy. But yeah, it's really funny because for so many years I was like, Reale, he's getting all the shit that I'm not booking.
Can you think of something particular?
Honestly, off the top of my head, I can't. It's been too many over the years.
Yeah.
But it's like I feel like you and I probably in our 20s went out for the same stuff constantly.
Yeah. But then we've veered away.
Diverged. Yeah.
I mean, it might be coming back around.
Now that we're like, because you'd be in your 40s or close to.
I turned 40 last year.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I just turned 40.
Okay, welcome.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like we may be coming back into each other's orbits, which is great. Like, what wonderful company to be keeping.
Absolutely, man.
But yeah.
I don't have I think it's because I'm not ambitious enough, but I really have never had, there's one person, I will say, there's one person I've been extremely jealous of at one point.
Okay.
And it was Miles Teller, and I don't know why. Oh, even though it's not like I was up for his part.
You just watched Whiplash and you were like, that son of a bitch.
Well, you know what it's because? It's because when we were 19, we both dated the same girl.
Oh, no way.
In New York, there was a girl I was in love with at the time, and they dated for a summer. And I was like, well, then we're on the same timeline. So now I should have his career.
Well, I mean, and his career really did take a nosedive after that. So it's...
Yeah,
it hasn't gone well for him.
Yeah.
So you were in New York when you were 19?
I've gone to New York every time I possibly could since I was 18. And I spent a summer
that would
there.
have been what year?
I don't know. I can't
2004? 2003? No, that would have been like 2002, right?
2000 so I started going a lot in 2002, like at least once a year, just to go see shows.
You and I would have been in New York at the same time because I went to school in 2003.
Did you go for 2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2003, 2004.
Oh my God. So yeah, we would have been there at the same time.
That's wild.
Yeah, that is wild.
Man, it began before we knew it.
Yeah. But I didn't go there for a long stint until like 2010.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. What about New York lights you up? Or lit you up?
That
may
place.
Not anymore, I don't know.
Yeah, still. I haven't been able to go in a couple of years. But yeah, something about that place, it just comes in through your feet. It's like, when I first went there, I remember I took the bus, the overnight bus. And
it's like $40 or something.
Yeah, exactly. And then I was getting into town at like 11 a.m. And just, it's such a archetypal place. Like it's been in our stories, in our movies, in our books for so long, even for a Canadian kid, that seeing those streets, you're like, you can't believe it. I felt that way about New York, and I felt that way when I was in small towns in England because of the Beatles. I was like, oh, this reminds me of the Beatles music.
Right.
So it's just cool to get to be somewhere that feels like it's out of our fables in a way.
Yeah, when I got there, because I was from a really small town. Like you're from Toronto, right?
Yeah, I grew up in a small town just an hour and a bit northwest.
Right. Yeah. For us, like going to Edmonton to Costco was like going to the big city, and so I had only ever, like, I remember being on Broadway, like this street, Broadway, for the first time. I just got there. I was at 72nd and Broadway, which is where I was living when I first went to school, and looking downtown and just having this moment where it's like I'd only ever seen, when that feels like the horizon is painted on. Yeah. Like it feels like you're staring at a mat from a soundstage. The only time I'd ever experienced that was in the Rocky Mountains. Right. And I was like, and my parents were like, how is it? And I was just like, guys, it's like the buildings are the Rocky Mountains. Yeah. And it was like so small town of me to say, but it was just so true. And I was in awe of it.
Well, it's incredible that something man-made has that kind of profundity, right?
And then the more you think about New York, the more like you realize that entire island is hollow.
Oh, I didn't realize that. What do you mean?
Because it's all subway.
Right.
So like over 100 years ago.
Oh my God. Yeah.
They were like, we should plan for buildings to be sitting on top of this that are beyond our scope of comprehension of building now.
Right. What kind of foresight?
I know.
Yeah.
And then you look at Toronto and they're like, one highway's going to be fine.
It will be.
No
one's coming
how
here.
How much immigration? Unlimited people will move here? One highway's fine. One highway's good.
Yeah, and all the buildings, just 2 stories.
Yeah.
Like, why would we need more?
Yeah. Like in LA, that makes sense because it's trying to shake them all off like a bad case of fleas. But here, we could have just built up.
We could have gone up.
Yeah.
We did it with one.
Yeah.
We went in the 70s, we went straight up.
Yep.
More than anyone ever had.
Yep. And then we stopped immediately.
Yeah, then we stopped.
And it's just a radio tower with a restaurant. Like a middling restaurant.
But imagine there was one dude that lived in there, like Quasimodo. It's like his bell tower.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like the Phantom of the Opera. It just comes down every now and then to yell at, Christine. So man, I'm trying to think of like where to start. How the last thing I've seen you on is The Boys, which you're fantastic on.
Thank you.
And also just like what a great get to come in on a show that's already very funny and just get to be hilarious.
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
Come in, be real funny.
Well, can I say like it's the only show I've ever been on where, after like we did a couple of passes, like we did the blocking and we did a couple of passes, and then the director, and I forget who the director was of that first episode I did, but they came over and said, milk it. Like,
Nice.
More. And I was like, what? I've been being asked to be more subtle my entire life. And you're saying, go further. And it was, what a joy. Yeah.
So what are you, and you recently show that you're a part of Poly
is the new monogamy. Yeah.
Yeah, it was recently nominated for a bunch of CSAs, correct?
Is that true? I'm so out of the loop.
Yeah.
I bet it was.
Yeah, I'm reasonably sure it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to hear.
And
I hope, I wasn't, because then it's like, imagine I was nominated and I didn't even hear about it.
That would be pretty sad, actually.
No, but I think a number of shows I was a part of did get some CSA recognition. That's always sweet.
So what have you been doing lately that's been lighting you up? Like
what have I been doing lately? Living. Cool. It's summertime in Toronto, and that's always a special time.
Yeah.
In terms of, do you mean like in terms of the work?
Well, I'm curious. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like shows that you're on. I'm curious just to get a feel for where you're at as I'd be interested to talk to you since I've known you since you were so young, where your process is at now.
Well, okay, this is interesting. So you and I, although we've had parallel lives, we had a pretty different trajectory because you were in New York doing theater school.
Yeah.
And I never did theater school.
Right.
And so
you got that good that young and you never in school for it?
That's nice of you.
Son of a...
It's nice of you to say, but I was not that good that young. I had like a couple of tricks.
Okay.
And I just hated school, and I didn't trust more school.
Interesting.
And I needed money, and I was working.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't afford to go to school. Right. Like I had a sort of a situation in my home where I had to get out, And so I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to keep doing this until I have enough money, then maybe I'll go to school.
Right.
And it just kind of never happened. And it felt like a deficit, and I believe it was a deficit for a long time. I think in my 30s, I felt the scales kind of even out, where I had learned enough in my patchwork of training to sort of feel like commensurate with some kind of conservatory.
Do you mind if I ask you to say more about that? Like, I'm curious if we rewind. I know how I was like, so tell me about your process now. And I'm like, tell me about your process when you started. But I am curious about so your process was predominantly like instinct and impulse based then when you were younger, or how did you get into it? I
would love to say it was instinct and impulse, but I don't even think I understood those things. I was just a ham and a hack as a kid. I wanted to make people laugh. Yeah. I always told stories. I would tell family secrets. Anytime I met a stranger, my mom would have to be like, David, don't say all. But I always knew that secrets were the most interesting part.
Okay.
And so I would immediately tell everything that was all the skeletons in my family's closet anytime I met anybody.
Right.
And so I had a knack for, being open in that way and holding court and being the center of attention. And I would do all the school plays and that kind of thing. And then when I was 10, I saw a teacher in grade 4, Gail Ditchburn. She was like, he needs to be an actor. They wanted to diagnose me with ADHD. My mother said no.
Right.
She was like, no, we don't care about that. But she's like, well, we've got to do something about him. He lies constantly and he won't sit still. So we need to do something with this energy.
And all of a sudden they were like, what sounds like acting?
Yeah. And so I started acting, and then I was like, oh, this is it. This is my thing. And then I saw DiCaprio in This Boy's Life. You seen that movie?
Yes.
With De Niro. And I was like, oh, acting can be that? Oh, that's what I want.
Right.
And so I just started, I identified at 10, I'm like, well, that's what I am. I'm an actor. I wasn't good at school. Yeah. I wasn't good at sports. And so I'm like, I'm an actor. That's what I was born to be. And I actually think that was a detrimental mindset in the long run.
How so?
Well, I learned years later, in my late 20s or something, I learned about something called fixed mindset.
Okay.
You know about growth mindset or fixed mindset? I don't know if you've ever heard these terms. But a growth mindset is one whereby you look at anything that is before you as like a challenge. So let's say you're a kid doing math. A math problem is a challenge. And you are someone, your identity is someone who faces challenges and deals with them on their own merits and then overcomes them, say.
Yeah.
Your identity is not, I'm good at math. That's a fixed mindset. And there's all these studies they've done. If they take children and they tell them, you're so smart, you're so good at math, that's what you are. Your identity is you're good at math, right? They praise them for being good and smart.
Yeah.
And then they take another group of kids and they praise them for working hard. The kids who were told they were good and smart won't try for as long or as hard as the kids who are praised for working hard.
That makes a lot of sense.
And so my fixed mindset was, I'm a good actor. So that worked in my elementary school and high school where no one else was trying to be an actor.
Right.
Like no, there was really no one in my high school that was like claiming that spot. I was claiming it hard. And so everyone was like, all right. And so I could sort of compete and excel in that environment. And my identity was sort of validated.
Right.
When I was 14, I did my first TV movie. And it was wild. It was like the industry was a different thing in whatever that year that was, 1999 or whatever that was.
Yeah.
And I flew to Bratislava to shoot it. And it was a period piece. And
Cool.
Yeah, it was cool. And I'm like,
So
oh,
cool.
I guess this is what the industry is,
Yeah.
you know? And when I saw that on TV, or I guess I saw a VHS or something, I was so utterly terrible in it. I mean, by my standards, I was so not DiCaprio.
Right.
I was the same age he was in This Boy's Life.
Right.
And I had good taste. I knew that was good acting.
Yeah.
And then I saw what I was doing and I was like, this is, how come no one told me?
Right.
This is garbage. This is not good acting. And everyone just let me do it. And so it created this mistrust. And because I had this fixed identity that I am a good actor, now that's being threatened.
Right.
Because I'm seeing bad acting.
So did you, like, was that response like an ego response? Was that like tell me how you dealt with that? I'm super curious.
I dealt with it badly for years. Then what happened was for years I was like, okay, well, this is who I have to be. It's the only thing I'm good at. But secretly, I actually think I'm bad. And so now I have this ego and this arrogance and then this dirty secret that I'm bad and no one really can tell or will tell me.
Yeah.
And so then for years, I kind of like had this kind of shame thing. And then that's the inferiority, or not inferiority, the imposter syndrome that you get. So I'm going on auditions trying to get work. So I'm trying to trick them into hiring me, even though I know that I'm terrible. And because I have a fixed mindset, there's no way to go from terrible to good.
Right.
Either you're good or you're bad. You're born with it. So, right?
So you had just decided that like you were
just
now stuck being bad, but this was the identity you chose.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a mess, dude.
Oh man, it's so wild because, you know, like obviously this isn't quite like, I don't know how the timelines exactly sync up, but like all I ever saw of you was like, I'm like, that dude is very confident and sure of himself.
Oh my God.
And isn't it wild how you're just like I understand this fixed, for me, I had a similar thing. It manifested more in like, because I started coaching quite young. Like I started coaching at like, oh man, like 23.
Yeah.
Right? So it kind of manifested as people immediately started in a very specific set of circumstances looking at me like I had all the answers. And so I became like, oh, well, that's where my value is, the guy who has all the answers.
Okay, yeah.
And so I became very fixed in the belief that I had them.
Yeah.
And then didn't grow as a person for like a decade.
Right, because then how do you learn if you have to have all the answers?
Yeah, and why would you?
Why would you?
Right? And I for the most part spent all of my time in that area of expertise, but then would branch off to giving life advice and all this stuff, and it would impact my romantic relationships and all this because I'd have ego responses to like being challenged with anything. Which is like, spoiler alert, probably not the most fun to be around. And
well, you say I came off as like confident and self-assured. Like that's all like a defense mechanism or a coping mechanism.
Right.
of like, I need to show up with this kind of exuberance because that's what's sort of getting me work and being praised and being accepted.
It's funny because it worked, man. I was like, I need that guy's charisma. Like, it's like a literal thing that I thought. It was
well, hey, I booked work doing it,
for sure.
but I didn't enjoy myself, and I didn't, I didn't grow, and I actually was not able to do any kind of revelatory work. Because once you're in an ego, like the ego is all like superficial, right? It's all show, and so the best kind of, I think, the best kind of acting is like vulnerable and revelatory. Like it's a revealing some aspect of yourself, which the ego's like, does not want to do. You were talking about, I saw a clip of you talking about that uncomfortable place. Yes, when you're reading a script and something makes you uncomfortable and how like, oh, that's where to go towards.
And you have to spend time there.
Yeah.
Like that's what the money's for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I also spent the better part of a decade just not doing that.
Right.
Well,
it's interesting because I started teaching later, but that saved me.
Same more.
Teaching and coaching, because all of a sudden I'm looking at other people in a supportive context, and I'm seeing their talent when they think they're shit. And I'm like, oh, you have this ego judgment of yourself and you can't see what like my job as a teacher and coach is to kind of look past that and to see the spark and to fan that flame.
Yeah.
And I love doing it and I had a knack for it. And then I'm like, what are the odds that I can see this spark in all of these people, but I don't have it? And so I started training this eye that sees people's like behind the mask, behind the ego, the thing that they can't even see sometimes, and that honors that, supports that, inspires that, say. And I'm like, oh, and then I got better and better and better at it to the point that all of a sudden started looking at myself with that kind of eye.
So, one, that sounds like, I'm so glad that kind of objectivity, like self-objectivity came to you through teaching. Like that's excellent. And I think speaks to like a tremendous amount of self-compassion or like at the very least the development of self-compassion, which is great. Like, good for you.
And that's a continual practice, that compassionate piece.
Yeah, that I certainly relate to. I'm still not super great at being nice to myself depending on the day. Getting better at it.
Right. Well, because now I'll talk about how I've seen you over the years.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't know if I ever saw you as the guy who has all the answers, but I saw you as someone who had figured shit out in a very intelligent way. Like you knew your shit. I've always seen you like, oh, like Doug knows, you know what you're talking about. And when you work, there's a kind of specificity and diligence, like you're specific and detailed, and every moment feels intentional, and it's like that was the opposite. I'm beginning to have the patience now that I can be that kind of detailed, or that kind of detail excites me. But that's kind of how I've seen you, and I can see how that aligns with, well, how can you be nice to yourself when you're actually, like a lot of people are perfectionists, but they can't execute, so it's a total nightmare. When you're a perfectionist, and I'm guessing here, when you're a perfectionist and you can actually make up some ground on the way to that ideal, you can like, well, I figured it out. Like that would be hard to.
And I think I became like pretty obsessed with like the things that make stuff work. Like I became obsessed with like saturation of character in moments, and like and then became like micromanaging. Like that can become a real problem. But it's also served me obviously as a coach to be pretty detail oriented, especially as an audition coach. But I've had to. It seems like you and I have almost had like opposite. Like maybe opposite superpowers. While being pretty brutal with ourselves. And it's like I'm trying to get more and more of that. Like, you know what? We ball. Let's see where this goes. Let's like lean into this being imperfect.
And I'm trying to get more of like, all right, like you can do that, but also what about every single beat of this piece and really honing in
Right.
and understanding what story are you telling in each like micro moment.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's really fascinating. And it makes sense that like, it's like everybody's career, you have to start somewhere, like you have to get your toe in the door
Yes.
somewhere. So it makes sense that like process wise, that also like at the end of the day, you're gonna keep expanding into new things that light you up.
Yes.
Did you find also, by the way, thank you for your kind words. It's nice to hear that from you, especially because I've admired you for a long time. That means a lot. So thank you.
Thanks, man. Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just my own thoughts, it's things I've heard about you. And I have to say it's because we've both coached some of the same clients and some of the same students.
Yeah.
And I have seen firsthand someone I'd been working with for a while, and then I don't see them for a few years, and then I see them again, and they blow me away. And I'm like, what did you figured it out? And they're like, oh, I've been working with Doug Nyback. And I'm like,
nice.
Oh, and so like I've really seen, so like I think that's the biggest feather in your cap is I've seen firsthand someone like really flourish, because of what they learned working with you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really lovely.
Can I say, so I just did this show. I don't know when this is going to be in the world, what we're shooting right now.
Probably in about a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so this will be on, it's already out. So at this show on Apple Plus called Murderbot.
You're in Murderbot?
Oh, dude. It's so much fun.
That's great.
Yeah. Are you watching?
I know we were about to start it.
Yeah. You'll see me. I show up and then fun stuff happens.
Excellent.
But it's really cool because I get to just be dirty and messy the whole time. Like literally I would go in a makeup trailer and they would cover me in dirt and like glycerin so it would look like I was sweating. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, this is how I want to work all the time. I can't stand being in like a crisp white shirt for 14 hours. It's the worst.
So much of my career has been like very nice suits in August. Yeah.
It's brutal.
Yeah, you're just like and like sometimes too like prosthetics, stuff like that. Like after doing Defiance and playing like being in a full
and you're sweating
towel,
under the latex?
Yeah, and like shooting in the summer, also wearing a wool suit just because like I don't know, God has a sense of humor. And after that, it has made every set pretty easy.
Well, this was amazing. Literally, like between takes, I would just like lie down on the ground and just like relax. It was the best because by nature, I'm like a messy kind of. I like grass stains and scrapes and cuts. I like climbing trees, and that's how I want to be all the time.
Right.
So being on set and being like clean, sucks.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I get that.
And it's like, the final touches because you're always sweating and they're trying to make you look pretty, and then I'm stressed about do I look pretty enough? And then it makes me hold my face in a kind of pretty way.
It's funny. Like, have you ever booked any like pretty people shows? Like, I'm sure like
yes, I've booked a couple of pretty people shows.
Did you ever do Rain?
I did 13 auditions for Rain and I never booked it.
Okay, I finally booked Rain, and it was like it was the first and only time I think in my entire career that I like looked around and I was like, "Am I a pretty people? Am I?" And then I got to set and I was like, "I don't think so."
No, I always know if I'm hired on a pretty people show, it's because they say. And then there's this normal guy who your mother wants you to be with, but you're never going to be with because he can't possibly compare to Mr. Gorgeous. Like I'm hired to define beauty by the negative version of it.
Oh, God.
Which is lovely sort of ego. I love, you know what? The ego pulverizing we go through is really good for our sort of spiritual life, I would say.
I think it is. Yeah, there's got to be some kind of like new stoicism that can emerge from it.
Yeah.
So how did you find your way? So when I first met you, you were, correct me if I'm wrong, because this was like way back in the Carrie Lynn days. Y'all were pro actors, folks.
Yeah.
And then how did you find your way to Meisner? Because now now you teach Meisner and like if I ever have clients who are needing emotional, so much of the work that I do is detail oriented. It's audition technique. Mm-hmm. In a lot of cases, it's finding yourself within the structure of auditioning and the things that work within auditions, which is a pretty technical like niche. Mm-hmm. And very often, actors will come to me and they'll reach a point where it's like, well, you're punching above your weight in that like emotionally you're not where your technical ability is. And very often in those situations, I'll send folks to you. I'll be like, you need to go take Dave Reale's Meisner class.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Because to me, that's the place to explore that side of yourself. But also it's like when handled badly, a tire fire of like potential trauma. Dumping.
Most acting classes are.
Yes.
Like they have so much in common with cults that no wonder some of them become cults. You know, it's like, you're dealing with psychology, your deep emotions, sometimes trauma is at play.
Oh, big time, yeah.
And so you really got to find a room that you feel, I wouldn't say safe, but that you don't feel like you have to put your better judgment aside to do what the teacher says.
Right. Yeah.
And I would say that would be the risky thing. And anytime I've been in a room like that, and sometimes those rooms are really good. Like, I mean, like the work that comes out of those rooms, because if you can take someone's ego and like strip it away from them through humiliation, say, you become a very kind of supple thing under that.
Some of the best acting I've ever done, like I went to theater school, like, so that's where, like they're very much, at least back when I went.
Well, there's a reckoning happening, right? Like even across theater schools, like what best practices and that old style of break you down training is really kind of, it's under the microscope now, and the people that used to do that are being called out and dethroned and yada, yada, yada. But tell me your experience.
Well, I mean, and my experience was, I got a lot better at acting real quick. I hardened the up. And, you know, therapy at 34 revealed some shit. But also, if it wasn't theater school, it would have been something else. You know, but like my alcoholism didn't invent itself.
Oh my God.
So it's like, so anyway, when I send people to you, I'm like, I know they're going to be in good hands. Like hands that are going to challenge them and are going to run a room that, you know, there are guardrails, like they can be smashed up against. But if somebody starts careening off the highway, you're gonna be like, let's chill, and let's get everybody back on track. And then I too have clients come back to me after working with you, and I'm like, well, you're a whole different person.
Oh, cool.
This is great.
Yeah.
So talk to me about
open up some possibilities there.
Yeah, for sure. How did you find that? First off, how did you find your way to Meisner?
So in my early 20s, so yes, I was working doing Shakespeare with our mutual friend, Carrie Lynn. And we were both working with David Rotenberg at, may he rest in peace, he just passed away recently. And
he's giant back
then. Dude. And at his studio, the Pro Actors Lab, with him and Bruce Clayton. And, you know, David was, I think, brilliant. And I worked with him for years. And I worked with him because he directed me in a play.
Oh,
yeah, I did. Nice. He had written an adaptation of The Great Gatsby, and I played Nick.
Oh, damn. Okay.
Caraway in that. And so that's how I met him.
That's a great role for you.
Well, I had a lot of fun. I didn't know what I was doing. But, you know, when I worked with David, I trusted that he knew what he was talking about, but I never knew what he was talking about, unfortunately. Like it just went over my head. And he would say things, and sometimes I would do good work and sometimes I wouldn't, and then I would agree with him, but I didn't know how to apply his method. It just, honestly, it never clicked with me. And that's not a criticism of him. Really, it's I didn't know yet, because I had that fixed mindset. Like I didn't know that I should listen to like the little voice inside of me and find a room that made sense to me. I was like, this is the Pro Actors Lab. This is where actors go. If I can't do this, it's my fault. As opposed to, oh, this isn't jiving with my sensibilities. You know, and then just find another place.
Well, and at that time, he was the Rachel McAdams, Scott Speedman guy.
Totally, yeah. And Scott was in class sometimes, and I was like, oh my God. And he was he would come to class and blow everybody out of the water. Like, well, he's doing it. And he was applying the technique. You know, and years later, I read some of the emails I got from David, and I'm like, now I get it. It's like I was saying, like I'm ready to do the kind of detailed work now that I never was before. And I'm like, oh, now I know what he was talking about. But at the time, it just went over my head. And so I'd never felt, so that thing when I was 10 years old and I saw DiCaprio in This Boy's Life, and I'm like, and I just felt like, oh, I know what that anger and that passion is, and I want to express that too. And then it never happened. Never in a professional scenario did I feel like I was doing that.
Right.
It just felt like I'm rolling my eyes on the right line and getting a laugh and making some money, but it does not feel like an expression of anything deep.
Right.
And I agree that you do not have to be feeling it to do good work.
No.
And I think sometimes the chasing of that leads to really shitty work.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. Well, because it becomes all about you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's like the one thing people aren't doing when they're really living is like trying to emote or chase some feeling of really being there. It's like they're dealing with something specific in their life.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was doing a lot of TV commercials, and I was making a lot of money.
That was another thing. You always book commercials. I've never booked a commercial in my entire career.
Did you ever have braces?
No.
You needed braces. I auditioned for commercials for 2 years. Like I was driving in from out of the city in rush hour, and or having a parent drive me in.
Yeah.
And for 2 years booked nothing. Then I got braces, and all of a sudden I had a look.
Curse these genetically perfect teeth.
Yeah, they
Damn
robbed you of work. Yeah, exactly.
That's funny.
Yeah, and so that was it. And once I got braces, the commercial world blew open for me. I did like 6 commercials that year. Probably made more when I was 17 than I've ever made.
Whoa.
Because I was doing American Nationals and things back when you would get triple scale. Like it was nuts.
Residuals up the wazoo.
Oh, dude.
Damn.
So when I was 2, I was going to quit. I had never had an experience. I had done a Larry Moss workshop, who's one of the teachers that has really impacted me, and I was like, yeah, this is the but I never get to do that, and I don't know how to do that on my own.
Right.
And I was going to quit. I was like, I'd rather wash dishes to make money. This is not. It's killing me to be on sets and never have what I thought the experience would be. Then I found this Meisner class, this guy called John Riven, who had studied in New York at the Playhouse.
Yeah.
And so I love New York, and he was like a little piece of New York in Toronto.
Yeah.
And I was in that room, and I was like, here it is. Like, the whole point of it is really be present, really have the experience, whatever the experience is, and allow it to be what it is, and then just kind of live. Like really, Meisner says acting is living truthfully under imaginary circumstances. So that like really living thing started to happen, and that's kind of like I recommitted to acting, rediscovered a love.
Right.
And that's been kind of my trajectory ever since.
And this was in your relatively early 20s? Like when?
Yeah, I think I was 21 or 22.
Okay. Oh, that's a good time to find it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then how, when did you start teaching it?
So I feel fortunate with how my journey to teaching happened, because this guy, John, he's a martial artist.
Okay.
And so he ran his classes the way he learned martial arts, where like the brown belt, just violence,
straight up physical abuse.
No, no one ever touched in those classes.
Yeah,
that was one of the parameters. But he never had. When he was learning martial arts, the rooms would be mixed. You'd have white belts, yellow belts, green belts, brown belts, black belts, all in the same class.
Right.
And the brown belts would help the white belts learning things.
Right.
And so he kind of, every once in a while in class, the people who have been taking the class longer, he'd say like, hey, what do you think? Like, David, what do you think? And I would kind of critique an exercise or offer my thoughts.
Yeah.
And I started to notice, I think he started to notice that, I had a good eye for it, and I kind of understood what was happening. And more so, the other students liked what I had to say.
Right.
And so a couple times then he was sick,
or
he said he was sick, and he was like, Reale, you take the class tonight.
Right.
You know, and I wouldn't teach. I would set a timer and made sure no one got hurt, which was also great because I didn't have the thing of like, I'm supposed to know something.
Right.
I'd be like, hey everyone, I'm leading the class tonight. And I would not say anything.
Right.
I would just watch and go like, how was that for you? And these are my peers and oftentimes people who were more experienced actors that I really admired.
Right.
Like I remember when Tatiana Maslany was in class and like, she's a genius. Like I'm not gonna teach her something, but I was able to lead classes that she was in. And so teaching for me always had like that humility baked in.
Right.
And then I started saying things slowly here and there and getting to bounce it off actors I respected. And so it kind of, I would only say what worked for them. And if it didn't work, I'd shut up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then that eventually led to you getting your own classes and
yeah, like over like a decade.
Okay.
And then
so you really eased into it.
Really,
that's a probably much healthier way to do it than me. But.
Well, I mean, I really appreciated getting to do it that way because it wasn't until, I got a job teaching at a college. And I was teaching Meisner at George Brown College. And it was the first time I was in a room with people looking at me. Like,
do you have a degree?
I do not have a degree. But my contract at the college says Professor David Reale.
Nice.
So.
Nice. Because I've been brought in here and there to like do talks at Sheridan, but I don't think I'd be allowed to teach at Sheridan because I don't have a master's in acting. Like I couldn't actually become a professor.
Well, I mean, at a college you can, but at a university you can't, I think.
Yeah.
And Sheridan is a college technically, but because they're
I don't know.
It's the UFT. I don't know.
So, but that's great. So sorry, continue. I just hijacked your shit.
Well, it was just when I was at the college, it was the first time I was in a room of young people looking at me like I could feel it. I'm like, oh, you think I'm important and authority and that I have some answers. And you're all like 18, 19, 20, and I'm on the TV in some shows that you like. So you're like, he's done it.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, this is a very strange dynamic and kind of not great for their learning. Because I'm like, you need to know that you've got it.
Right.
Like, that's like the essential component because I can water that plant.
Yeah.
But if you think I have the seed, you're never gonna grow.
Yeah.
I have nothing for you. You're the unique thing. You're the singular expression of consciousness coming through this being, the one time in all of creation. Like you're an important, amazing thing. I'm just here to help you experience that and kind of grow that translation of that into whatever storytelling we're doing. And
you're totally right that it's so easy to lose that as a student, to be like, I am not to be considered. There is something there that I need to take and sort of become or embody.
Yeah, well, and there's something to be said for like that kind of Taoist sort of like, I am the empty cup.
Yeah.
Like that's important, I think.
Yeah.
But the empty cup has intrinsic value that cannot be taken away from it.
Yeah.
And that's a problem I think in classes is that you're like, if I'm here to learn, it must be because I'm lower, and there's this, and the whole industry has this hierarchical.
It's literally numbered.
Yeah. And it's like, that is so, if you ingrain that in the wrong way, I think it's so detrimental to doing the kind of, because I could be at number 247 on a show, but my job that day is to fire Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna come in and I gotta play top dog and be like, you're out of here, loser.
Yeah.
And so if I go like,
it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
No. Yeah, it's interesting. I find the hierarchy, like the hierarchical thing, I'll use it in coaching because very often as a metric of success or as like a lighthouse if you're feeling lost in a scene, it's a pretty easy thing to be like, probably my job is to facilitate the story of somebody higher up than me.
Yes.
So am I or am I not doing that? Am I adding conflict to this person's life? Am I like if I feel lost, I'm often just like, I'm just going to throw roadblocks in front of somebody who's getting paid more than me.
Yeah.
And just and then from there, I can find it. because it's a purpose in a place where I may not feel like I have any.
Okay, so that's like a hacking of that hierarchy. Like it helps you be in a service capacity, helps you understand your place within what we're doing here, the rules of the game.
Yeah, and I'll use that with actors who are spinning, like actors who are getting really into like, I'm not feeling what I need to be feeling. I'm not doing it right. I'm not getting it. People who are in perfectionism. And I'm just like, you need to badly start focusing on somebody who isn't you.
Yeah,
so let's look at the story.
Right,
Let's look at whose story it is, because that's the story that's being told, which means that your job is to serve that story.
Yes.
Are you or are you not doing that? Yes or no?
Yes.
And then if you turn that into a yes, there's infinite nuance there. But at least there's like a direction to go.
Yes.
That's where I found the hierarchy can be useful. But you're totally right. That's like an Andrew Huberman for acting, like biohacking.
I guess,
process.
but that's also brilliant. And that speaks to your kind of like detail-oriented, like do the job, figure it out thing.
Sure.
Where I was much more like, who am I? Am I good or not? In this kind of like binary of self-judgment.
Yeah.
And so it would just, but what's interesting is my saving grace being the Meisner work is right about what you just said. Like the whole point of the practice of like the essential practice of the Meisner technique is to get your attention off of yourself.
Yeah.
Onto someone else, onto something else, onto what you are doing.
Yeah.
And that was the other thing that saved me, because I think I had always been kind of like looking at myself and judging myself.
Yeah, it's really interesting because like I just got the image just hearing you talk, and I was thinking about like young you, who is like, I am only ever not Leonardo DiCaprio in this boy's life,
Yeah.
which like a hard bar to clear, man, when you're just learning how to act.
Yeah.
You know, because that's like being 12 and looking at Connor McDavid and being like, I'm not as good as this guy. It's like fucking no one is.
Yeah.
But I got this image of you just like intensely focusing on yourself and being like, you're not good, you're not good, you're not good.
Yeah.
And that provides like no opportunity to look outward.
Yeah.
Which is so hard for little David. Like, I'm so sorry that was like where you started.
Oh, I know.
That's tough, man.
But it's why I can teach.
Sure.
Because of that pain and understanding like that dead end, because I think a lot of people are looking at it like that. And I know that will ruin your life.
Yeah.
You know, in a career or a job or an art that could be the most fun and the most beautiful, you could have a really awful time. And I've done it. And the first thing I do with my students at George Brown when I'm doing on-camera classes, because we're going to watch back our work. Yeah. And if you're watching back with the wrong kind of lens, you're just going to all over yourself.
Right.
And so I will show the clip from that thing I shot in Bratislava when I was 14.
Oh, damn.
And I'm like, let's break this down. Tell me what you think.
Yeah.
What's good? What's bad? You know, how would you help this kid? And when I watch it from that lens, I'm like, you know, that I can look at that kid and I go, oh, there's something there. And if I could coach you for 6 months, you'd be doing real well.
Right.
You know, but it was a 15, 20-year journey before I could do the kind of learning that I think someone can do in 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, if you can actually be in the mindset of growth and learning, as opposed to the mindset of like, am I good? Am I bad? Am I good? Am I bad? Where's my value?
So do you know why you so hyper focused on that? Like
On which?
Like the duality of like, I'm either great or I'm terrible. like was that something that, cause like for me, like I'll speak to my, and by the way, like if I'm end up asking you personal questions, you're under no obligation to answer them.
Okay, sure.
But for me, it's like my brother was one of those ones that you were talking about. Like he was just naturally like brilliant, Mensa, super higher IQ than Einstein, super brilliant.
Oh my God.
Just as he was, didn't have to try, which created a whole world of problems for him. And I didn't have any of that. So I quickly created a complex around like, if I'm not achieving, I have no value. And then I rode that until it nearly broke me. Wow. In fact, it did. And so like, for me, that's where that came from, that like mercilessness with myself. And I'm just always, when I meet somebody who was also merciless with himself, I'm always like, so how is that for you? And you have no obligation to answer the question. I'm curious though, because you said it took like 13, 14 years before you found your way out of it. I'm just like, do you know where it started?
Oh my God. You know, I could guess, but I'm not sure. But I will say, yeah, out of like pain and dysfunction.
Sure.
And I think, so my younger brother's 14 years younger than me, and he's an actor as well.
Oh, no way.
And I was so wishing he would do something else.
But now he can be like the Nepo version of you.
Totally. Oh yeah, he can. Yeah, that's great.
This is great.
All he gets from me is hand-me-down shirts. That's about all the nepotism is getting him. But and he's become a great actor and a great director, and he took a different trajectory. He went to theater school, did all of that. But I know by what I was scared of for him, probably what was going on with me. And it's just like, I needed the laughter and the applause of an audience to validate me, to feel good about myself.
Right.
And I think because of sort of some family dysfunction and some, I had stuff,
Sure.
and that imbalance or that feeling of worthlessness I think it's an imbalance in nature, and it creates a vacuum, and something's going to fill it up. Addiction of some kind.
Yeah.
And I think the first one for me was attention and love.
The addiction to the...
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. And it was a while before I discovered sort of the codependence and was able to make a love into an addiction, and that was the next step.
Yeah.
But that, the love of an adoring audience, it can just feel like, but it's a distraction. Ultimately it's a distraction.
Yeah.
And it doesn't lead to the kind of work that I love.
Right.
So yeah.
Cool. For the audience, it's just catching up. We're talking about being 40.
Being 40.
And we're talking about there's an ex-girlfriend that David and I share who will remain nameless, but I have a great story for you about this that I tell to students.
Oh my God.
But we're talking about I don't think there's a way. I think one of the great mistakes that acting teachers make with young actors, and like realistically, the bulk of like acting clients in general are probably younger. They're the ones theoretically that need the most training. They're learning things. Is this idea that like your real life doesn't begin until you're older, but it is weird turning 40. Suddenly I'm like, did my real life not begin until I turned 40?
Oh my God, yeah.
It's a very strange thing.
Yeah.
But okay, I got to tell you the craziest story. So I can't remember. I think it might have been like an episode of Murdoch or one of those shows that was shooting in the Maritimes back in the day. This was back when Casting Central was on Yonge Street. Do you remember?
680 Young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going through a breakup. Well, not going through a breakup. We had broken up a while ago. And I think you had started dating.
This same person.
The same person.
Okay.
And I was still heartbroken because
no.
I never met a heartbreak that I didn't want to hold on to for like way long. Like everyone's like, yeah, and about half the duration of the relationship. And I was just like 7 times the duration of the relationship shall be my misery.
Oh my God.
But I was like still really like going through it. And
hang on. Was I already the person that was taking jobs from you too?
You were, yeah.
Oh my God.
And also this person that I was like, I fucking admire the shit out of this guy's riz.
No.
And I was like, I got no riz. I'm going through a breakup. I'm like, I'm rizless.
Oh no.
And so I had to prepare this. It was like my wife was dying and I was going to go like rob a casino or some shit because I needed to save her life.
I know what you're going to say. Keep going, but I know what you're going to say.
And I had to be deeply in love with her. And then I walk into the fucking audition room and you're my goddamn reader. I was like, you son, and I just got there and I was like, guys, every now and then you're going to have to be able to develop an amount of focus that will get you there. Like I use this as a teachable moment. I don't name you, but now I have.
That's amazing. But
dude,
can I say,
yeah,
you were incredible in that audition. Did you book that part?
I did not.
Okay, I remember. That's why I knew what you were going to say. I remember that audition, and I stole something from you because you came in and you had a wedding band on.
I did.
Dude, how long ago was this?
It was like over 10 years ago.
I've got chills. Oh, way over 10.
Oh, way over, because it was,
Way
Central
over
Casting was
10.
on Young Street, so that was like probably 15 years ago. We were young. That was
You
like
had a
mid-twenties,
wedding
early
band
20s.
on.
I did,
And in the one scene, you were just twisting
did.
your wedding band.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's great.
That's really funny.
And now whenever I audition for someone who's like married or it's like the marriage is essential, I have a whole kit of like jewelry and stuff that I never wear in my real life, but I'll put it on for the audition, and that's from that day.
That's so funny. That whole audition, I was like,
that's so good.
Oh man, yeah, that's really funny. That's like that was an iconic. I remember walking into that audition room and being like, "Of course, it's you here at the end of all things." Oh my god! Yeah, it's fascinating. So I want to go back because your whole early career was predicated on this idea that you weren't good. Right?
I knew for sure that I wasn't good, but I needed to fool people to think I was good because I needed success and money and validation.
That's not like an acting journey. I don't know what is. But I'm curious, have you arrived at a place where you can be like, I'm pretty good at this?
I'm pretty good. I have arrived at a place where it's like, Rumi, there's a Rumi quote, and it says, I wish I knew it perfectly, but it's like, out there, beyond the ideas of good and evil, there is a field. Meet me there, my love, I think is the quote. Something like that.
Cool.
And I like to think that I now try and reside outside of ideas of good and bad. Like I just do not want to engage with that.
Yeah.
Is it good? Is it bad? That's just not any of my business. I try and engage with like, is it true? Is it real? Is it fun? Is it exciting? Does it light me up? Is the collaboration like is it happening? Is there flow? All these other things that are things I can measure much more accurately.
Right.
That I have some kind of control over.
Right.
Which again gets into the stoicism, like don't occupy your mind with things you cannot control. Like that is the way of insanity.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think I'm okay sometimes, but I just don't have to. I don't worry about it.
It's like inconsequential.
It's just not the point.
Right.
It's just not the point. And still, if I click into, like I just watched a thing I did because my partner wanted to see it, and she was like, "Can we put it on?" And I was like, "Okay." I don't love to watch sometimes because I don't want to get into that spiral.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Good. It's just to check in. Now, if I am sitting down, I can watch my work now like game tape.
Yeah.
And I'll sit down and I'll sit with it and I will go, okay, what, and I will use comparison in a proactive way. Like, what do my favorite actors do?
Right.
Where am I doing that? Where am I not?
Right.
What is that? Can I get it? But then I'm not going like, oh, I look stupid, I suck.
Right.
I'm looking at the moments and trying to decode what's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
That sounds like so it's like you never had to arrive at, okay, cool, I got good.
Mm-hmm.
You simply moved past and were like, it's kind of inconsequential.
Yeah, it's just not about good. Good is something, what I love doing? I love seeing my favorite actors in movies where they're not great. Because I'm like, that didn't stop them.
Right.
That would have sunk me.
Right.
And I know I love them. Like, I mean, De Niro's in weird movies where his performances are hit a strange note.
It's true. Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, who the fuck am I to judge him?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could judge anybody. So if I'm going to judge De Niro as bad, I'm not going to put that eye onto myself because I'm going to be found way lacking,
Right. That's very fair. Yeah. That's great. I also love that you came onto my podcast and like out-wisdomed me. You were like, hold on, allow me to quote Rumi word for word.
Oh, dude.
Of course you did, Reale.
But when I said decode just there, this is what I wanted to talk to you about was this DNA thing. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's brilliant, and that's just luck.
That was Brie. That was so I was like, oh yeah, it's like Douglas Nyback acting. She's like DNA, and I was like,
it's when did that? That's recent.
Yeah. So
you've been doing this for 20 years. Okay, so like that is pretty slow, actually.
What do you mean?
Like you should have come up with that a
I
long time
really
ago.
should have. Yeah. Yeah. Well, but my relationship with myself as a coach was like, because I started young and it very quickly replaced any survival jobs that I needed.
Okay.
But it caused me to go into that thing of like, well, I'm spending my time coaching and I'm not really an actor, and it's like, and I had so much internal tension around it, and as I kind of went into my 30s, I took some time away from it. I got like much more into producing, and
I remember that. I've seen short films you've produced.
yeah. And like it was around Nose to Tail, producing Nose to Tail that I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do this for a while, and I'm gonna, because my identity was so wrapped up in coaching. Like I don't think the way other people saw me, but the way I saw myself. I was like, I am a thing. I am a place. I'm not like a person. And I just started going to therapy. I was like, it's probably like I'm gonna just not do this for a year. And then I basically didn't do it for a year. And
what didn't you do?
Coach.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. I just produced for a year.
Oh, so you didn't act or coach?
Well, I would act like when but it wasn't like I was booking up a storm that year.
Okay.
Like I wish, but I managed to like, skid by in life and made enough money to live, and produced a couple of things, and spent a few months in Utah building a movie and all sorts of stuff, and did a lot of writing, and then I realized, so like in that time I also went through a breakup. And then I was like, okay, I might need to make a little more money now that I'm not sharing rent with anybody. And so, but I also realized, I kind of missed this. So I sent an email out to a lot of my old clients and was like, hey, if you're interested, I'm going to do this on my own now, not at like a studio. And then I just started, working with folks, and then just kind of rode that for a while. And then about a year and a half ago, I got brought on to coach on season 3 of Run the Burbs. So I was like the on-set acting coach for about 3 months. It was like in the height of the strikes and all that stuff. Nobody made any money that year. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh, is this what it's like to have some kind of measure of stability? Just for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I should take some of the money that I've made from this and put it into, like, I don't work with beginner actors anymore, mostly just from a time standpoint.
Yeah.
But I'm like, why do those classes cost so much money?
Yeah.
So I'm like, that should be the cheapest barrier of entry.
Yes.
So then I built an online course.
Yes.
That is for that. And then was like, well, if I want that to get out into the world, I should probably create a YouTube channel. And I was like, which will take off right away.
Yeah.
Which it doesn't. And then I just spent about a year building that. And now it seems like it's starting to get some traction, and more than that. Like for me, it's more about like doing some good. Like trying to be a voice that I wish I had when I graduated theater school.
I feel that.
Or wish I had when I was living in a small town. Just being like, I had no access to training. Like,
Right. And
now it's like, well,
that would have been so helpful for me as someone who like is looking at DiCaprio at 14 and going like, I want to do that. How do I do that? And you can go online and you can learn from someone who can actually break down. Because I've seen on Instagram and that you breaking down these performances and explaining. You do it with DiCaprio.
Yeah, I do.
Like, here's what's going on here. Yeah. Here's what he's doing. That this moment that is so magnetic to you. Here's why. It's like, wow, because that took me, like, I'm just there now.
Right.
Like it took me that long to have any kind of understanding of what it was that I was seeing.
Yeah. And I think like with those, it's funny that you called it game tape, like watching yourself as game tape, because I'll catch shit online. I mean, you catch shit online for anything. Like you say the sky is blue online, and people are going to be like, "You're racist," and I'm like, but I catch shit online for doing breakdowns, and because there are people that are like, you should never. Like compare yourself to others and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, well.
Yeah. Have you heard of Kobe Bryant?
Yeah. Like you're like gonna, so you might as well do it effectively.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. When done from a terrified, egoic, survival, dysregulated space, it can be one thing. But when done intentionally, it can be really damn useful.
Yeah, and there isn't an athlete on the planet that's going to be like, well, I could watch the best people in the world doing this, but I'm just going to not. It's Friends reruns and running for me. Like, it's like, no, you're going to watch the best. And so what I like to do with those is like, not be like, this is how to be like DiCaprio, but it's like, this is what it is to take time and space in a moment.
Yes.
And this is how it translates in when the people are operating at the height of their powers.
That's
And this
the
is what
thing.
it means to do it.
When
yourself.
you are comparing yourself to someone, you don't compare yourself to like who they are. You compare yourself to like the qualities they have.
Yes.
Because like in anything, it's like, oh, I don't want to be this person. I need to be me. But this person is very generous.
Yeah.
And I love that about them.
Yeah.
So how can I be more generous? And that those qualities can be, is imbibe the right word? That's like,
Yeah.
You can sort of like drink those in
Yeah.
and sort of like embody those things. And that's great. And sometimes it's like, these moves. And, you know, Sam Rockwell talks about it all the time when he's approaching a role.
Yeah.
He'll look at people who've done roles like that and see what they were doing, like look at their moves. Ethan Hawke talks about when he was going to work with on Training Day.
Oh, Denzel.
With Denzel.
Yeah.
And he said he watched Denzel like watching game tape like a fighter, going like, I don't want to get blown off the screen by one of the greatest screen actors of all time.
Yeah.
So I'm going to watch what he's doing in all of his performances so I can keep up. And I just think there's something cool. I've never been an athlete, but there's something cool about how athletes work. And I like bringing that into my work. And I've got to do a shout out to, there's a company out of Los Angeles called The Performer's Mindset.
Okay.
And this guy who is the CEO and the head kind of like coach there, his name is Joseph Ariel Town, brilliant dude. And I was reading all of these sports psychology books, and then I met him, and he and the team there had broken down what sports psychologists and athletic research had known for years and started applying it to acting and to the arts. And that's where all of the game tape stuff for me, and it's a lot of this kind of, and growth mindset and accessing flow, all of that stuff I kind of learned with Joe.
It's funny because we'll want to look into those guys. That's great.
Yeah.
But when I work with intermediate actors who are like on the cusp of becoming like advanced, I'm like, it's a sports, like I just say, this is just sports psychology. It's like, you can, why aren't you?
Right.
And it has nothing to do with ability. It's like, it's all yourself.
Yes.
Keeping yourself from engaging the tools that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And I always find that to be like, now as a coach, that's the part of the coaching that like lights me up the most. I find that to be the most fascinating.
Right.
Because that's the difference of like George Clooney in ER versus George Clooney and Michael Clayton. And you're like, that's intangibles, but that's a decade of sports psychology work because he didn't get technically better.
Whoa, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, and that to me is so fascinating. How are we for time, guys?
I think we got to do at least 3 more hours.
Yeah, we gotta wrap up. Probably 3 more. I mean, I could genuinely. I was really looking forward to this because you and I have never really sat down and had like an hour-long talk, and I had a feeling like I would be lit up by you, and I'm glad to say that I have been. We do have to kind of bring this thing into land, but I tend to end these things by asking if there's anything you could go back to like just starting out, David. Any piece of advice that you could give him, what would it be?
Okay, hang on. Okay, what would I say? I would say, young man, your value does not depend on the validation of others. You are unique in all of creation, and you have an intrinsic value that cannot be stripped from you. And you can rest assured and set your roots in that. And then in terms of this thing that you love, in terms of this acting thing, it's like, learn the rules of the game and play. Yeah.
Nice. That's very good advice. That's very good advice. I love that. Learn the rules of the game and play.
Yeah.
Like, what a great way to think about it.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but like, you probably weren't like this. I bet this is the way we were opposite. I'm still like this, but my whole life, I hate when you're learning a board game.
Yeah.
And you got to explain the rules. I'm like, can we just play one we know? Because it's so boring and you have to pay attention. It's hard to figure out. It's so complex.
Yeah.
But if we don't all know the rules, we can't really play and compete.
Yes.
And so it's like, you've got to be patient and you've got to pay attention and you got to go, what are the parameters of this thing?
Right.
And this is what you're so good at.
Yeah, I think that's maybe where one of my superpowers is.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's like when you teach, when I'm seeing, I've never really engaged with your teaching, but now that it's online and I can see your stuff, I'm like, this is like someone going, okay, Settlers of Catan.
Yeah.
Here's how it works.
Yeah.
Like you can't just bring Monopoly money to the board. It's not going to do you any good. Yeah. And so I think that's so cool. And yeah, I'm starting to be able to have that kind of mindset.
That's great. Oh man, I feel like I could talk to you for hours right now. Like I feel like we're just getting going. Because I'd love to just now be like, okay, well, let's pivot into the rules. Let's talk about story. Let's talk about that. But yeah, that can be for the next one.
Okay.
But listen, David, thank you so much for coming on. I mean it when I say you're somebody whom, like, at the end of the day, all of I had all these stories about you as a person as we were kind of growing up.
Yeah.
And all of that distills down into you're somebody whom I've always admired. And it really does mean the world to be able to sit down and have an actual conversation with you. So I so appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much, man. You doing all this, like that the feeling is definitely mutual, and getting to see what you're doing now, like it's very, very cool, and I really appreciate it. And talking to people who aren't, like, you can listen to podcasts where they talk to Nicole Kidman.
Sure.
But if you're coming up, learning from people and seeing what people do who are journeyman actors, who are just maybe a little bit ahead, who have struggled through similar circumstances, can be so much more illuminating.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that's one of the reasons why I started this thing.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like these conversations are probably more useful to actors than hearing another famous person being like, well, the moment I stopped caring was the moment I started booking everything.
Yes,
like, was it?
I'm a 1 in 10 million beauty and talent that,
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, so that's great. I'm so glad that that's coming across. But like,
cool.
Dude, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Think we got it, guys? Yeah? Man. All right, you made it to the end. If you're here, you're one of the real ones. You're all the way at the end of this heckin' thing. So thank you so much. As I mentioned before, like, if you can subscribe, if you're not subscribed already, and if you can click like, leave a comment, go into our socials at Nyback Act on Instagram and TikTok, share some of our content, comment on it. All this stuff just really helps this thing grow. It's growing really quick, and I appreciate you. These things tend to compound, and then they start building and building and building. So we're just wanting to build that momentum. And thank you for the feedback that's been out there. We've had a lot of people commenting and chatting with me in person and all this stuff, and it's been really, really great. If you really want to support the channel, you can check out our Patreon. All of my online acting courses are available there as well. So if you are a subscriber to the Patreon, you get all sorts of value. Those courses retail at $300 US, and you just get them for free when you're on there on the Patreon. So, as well as a bunch of additional content. So thank you so very much for being here. I appreciate you so much. And you listen, have a wonderful day. Go be people.